This is the Hot Zone. Engaging with the news in a whole new way, international war correspondent Chuck Holton brings insight into areas of crisis and lets you help those affected.
Folks, I hope you're having a great Memorial Day weekend. I want to do a very short issue of the podcast today just because it's Memorial Day Monday and you want to be out with your family. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but what I do want to do is just talk a little bit about the sacrifice that our troops make for us so that we can live in this kind of country. I mean, you know, there aren't a lot of countries in the world that actually honor their military like we honor ours. And there's a reason for that. I think it's because it has less to do with the fact that our military is the most lethal force in the world. It has less to do with the fact that our military is essentially undefeated around the world. But what it has more to do with is the fact that we are great because we're good. And to illustrate that fact, I want to show you a very short little video that I put together about a guy named Gale Halverson. He's called the Candy Bomber. And take a look at this.
In 1948, the U.S. Air Force took on the Herculean task of providing food for 2.5 million people cut off by the Soviets in West Berlin. One of the U.S. pilots involved became famous for his compassion for the children suffering under the blockade. They called him the Candy Bomber. His real name was Gale Halverson, and for this 27-year-old pilot, flying rations and fuel wasn't enough. He started dropping candy attached to handkerchief parachutes, even though it was against regulations. Over the next 8 months, 23 tons of candy was transported out of Rhine-Main Air Base and dropped from the skies over Berlin, and Halverson became a folk hero to the children there. In 2016, at the age of 96, Halverson returned to Germany to visit his old air base and meet some current airmen who are upholding his legacy today.
The idea of helping one another is stronger than the feelings of anger if we just nurture it and help us build us in our relationship, one with another.
Halverson also passed on his legacy to the children in the form of lots and lots of chocolate bars.
See people remember as clearly as they do the involvement of the young children that touched my heart like they did before. Here we have these young children learning about it and being right where it happened. It's a wonderful thing.
Gale Halverson is proof that the American flag never flies over any country but in blessing, and that American troops aren't just the best in the world. They are great because they are good.
So these are the kind of men and women that we honor on a day like Memorial Day. Obviously, we're honoring the people who have given their lives, who have died in the service of our country. But what we want to just point out today, and what these people point out to us, is that our country is something worth sacrificing for. And I think that's a good thing to remember on a day like today. So I hope you'll enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
The Hot Zone is produced by Amy Holton and Livefire Media. Copyright 2019.